Good morning, guys. We are going to get started with pre-algebra. So lesson 1-3. Go ahead and follow along in your textbook. We are on page 18. We will be on 19, and then we'll finish up on 20. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with some new words, and go ahead, new vocab terms. So if you need to, you can pause at any time to catch up on your notes. So I'm going to go kind of quick through this, but you can pause at any time, rewind, email me, let me know if you have any questions. You guys know the drill. So first off, we have the commutative property. So with the commutative property, we have two different ways of writing this. So this is going to be in red, commutative property. So with this, first off, we have the commutative property of addition, and then we have the commutative property of multiplication. So let's start with addition. So with addition, pretty basic, we have a plus b equals b plus a. For example, if we have 1 plus 2, that's going to equal the same thing as 2 plus 1. We're both going to have an answer of 3 for both of those. So those will be equal. So that's the commutative property of addition. For not subtraction, for multiplication, so the commutative property of multiplication, we're going to have a times b equals b times a. So for this, it's going to be the same type of deal here. We're going to have 1 times b, whoops, not 1 times b. 1 times 2 equals 2 times 1. So with those, you're going to have the same exact answer as well. So when you multiply 1 times 2, that's going to be 2. When you multiply 2 times 1, that's going to equal 2. So that is the commutative property of multiplication and addition. That's all we're doing for that one. Okay, so now let's move on to the associative property. The associative property, and for that, we're also going to have for multiplication and addition. So the associative property. Okay, so first off, and this is on page 18, if you want to follow along, under key concept, associative properties. Okay, so we have, for addition first, we're going to have in parentheses a, let me give myself a little more room. So we're going to have a plus b in parentheses plus c, and that is going to equal a plus b plus c, which is in parentheses. So for our first subset here, so a plus b, let's say a equals 1, we'll say b equals 2, c equals 3. So that'll be the same over here on this side. So a equals 1, b equals 2, c equals 3. So let's try this out and see if we get the same answer. So we have to use PEMDAS here. So first off, p, which is parentheses. So we're going to start in the parentheses here. So 1 plus 2, that's going to give us 3. And then we're left with plus 3, so that's going to give us 6. So let's make sure that's going to equal the same thing on this side. So we have to start with what's in the parentheses over here. So 2 plus 3, that's going to give me 5. Bring down my plus 1, and that's going to give us an answer of 6. So that shows us that the associative property of addition works. So let's try the associative property of multiplication now. Okay, associative property of multiplication, we have A times B, and that's in one subset, one set of parentheses, times C, and that's going to equal A times B times C. Okay, so we're going to use 1, 2, and 3 again for this. So A equals 1, B equals 2, times 3. And remember, for these, I'm just picking random numbers. Normally, you're going to be given different, you'll be given a property, a B property, and a C property. And eventually, we'll be solving for a missing number. So A will be 1 times B, which is 2, times C, which is 3. Okay, let's see if this works. So 1 times 2 equals 2, times 3, that's going to give me 6. Now on the opposite side, we have 1 times 2 times 3, which is going to give me 6. 1 times 6 is equals 6. So that's the associative property of addition and multiplication. Sweet. So let's move on to the additive identity, multiplicative identity, and the multiplicative property of 0. And those ones you will see are on the top of page 19. Top of page 19 under key concept. So we have the additive identity. So we have, let's get rid of that too. Move on to green here. So the additive identity. So for that we have A plus 0 equals 0 plus A. And this is always going to be true because A is always going to equal whatever you are adding to 0. Okay, so that's the additive identity. The additive identity. Now let's do the multiplicative identity. Multiplicative identity. So this one's stating that when any number is multiplied by 1, the product is that number. So what that is saying, if I have 1 times A, that is going to equal A times 1. So whatever number you're using for A, that is going to be your answer. So if I substitute 5 for A, that means 5 is going to be my answer. 5 equals 5. Okay, so that's the multiplicative identity. And then we have the multiplicative property of 0. And that one's pretty basic, just like the other one we did. The other last two we've done. The multiplicative property of 0. Okay, so this one's stating that when we have A times 0, that is going to equal 0 times A. Okay, so whatever this one says, when any number is multiplied by 0, the product is 0. So we all know that one. So if we multiply 2 times 0, that's going to be 0. 1 times 0, 0. So whatever we substitute for A, our answer is always going to be 0 for the multiplicative property of 0. Okay, so let's move on to example number 1. Okay, so example 1, if we look here, we have a new key concept. So page 19, do these properties apply to subtraction or division? One way to find out is to look for a counterexample. So a counterexample is an example that shows a conjecture is not true. So if we look at example 1, you're going to notice that division, it is not true for division. And that is also going to be true for subtraction. So we do not have a commutative property of subtraction or division. And same goes for associative property of division and subtraction. Okay, So that's example number 1. So I'll let you look at that one. And now I'm going to move on to example 2. Example number 2. So this one is wanting you to identify your which property it is. Okay, so example 2 at the bottom of page 19. So we have 4 plus a plus 3 equals a plus 3 plus 4. Okay, so which property is this going to be? Well, we have addition, so we know that it's one of our addition problems. It's not going to be additive identity, multiplicative identity, or multiplicative property of 0. And that is because those are, they only deal with 0 and 1. So it's either going to be the commutative property or associative property. Okay, so first off, commutative property, that only deals with A and B, so it's not that one because we have 3 different terms here. We have one term here, 4. We have a second term right here, A, and then we have a third term, 3. So we have an A, a B, and a C. So let's write those down. So we have a C right here. We have a B right here. And we have an A at the beginning. Okay, so which one is that going to be? So if you look at all your different properties, that is going to be the associative property of addition. So I'm just going to write it short, associative property of addition, APA. Okay, so that is what you're going to do for example number 2. All right, so let's move on to the next page. Example number 3 on page 20. So we are going to simplify algebraic expressions. So to simplify an algebraic expression, perform all possible operations. You can use the properties you learned in this lesson using facts, properties, or rules to reach valid conclusions is called deductive reasoning. Okay, so example number 3, letter A. So with letter A, we are simplifying this to its smallest terms. And this will come in handy when we start graphing and other algebraic expressions. So with this, we are going to keep the E. We're not solving for E, we're keeping it in our expression. So we are going to start this out by rearranging it a little bit. So right here we have 3, which is our A term, plus E, which is our B term, that's in parentheses, plus 7, so that is our C term. Okay, I'm going to get those highlighted for us so we have them all organized. Okay, so since this is the commutative property of addition, we are going to be able to rearrange it. So E is by itself, and then we can add the 7 and the 3 together. So if you look back on page 18, you will see under associative properties that when you add A plus B in parentheses plus C, you can also rearrange it like this. A plus, in parentheses, B plus C. Okay, so what is our A in this scenario? Our A, which is our yellow term, is 3. Our B is, let's see here. Oh, that's where I messed up. So let's back that up here. So when we rearrange it here, we want our B on the outside. So what we want to do is, let's see here. Erase. So since our E is the B, we can do something cool here. the B can be on the outside. So we can also have it look like this. We can also say B plus A plus C, okay? So with addition and multiplication, you are able to do it like that, since no matter what you do, it's always going to be the same answer, okay? So our B in this scenario is E. And we know that from looking over at our initial equation. Our A is 3. Oops, we don't want to use red anymore. Our A is 3. And our C is 7. Okay, there we go. So now we have E plus, so what is 7 plus, or yeah, 7 plus 3, that's going to equal 10. So our simplified expression here is going to be E plus 10. E plus 10 will be our answer here, okay? I'm going to do letter B with you guys, so let's try letter B as well. So multiplication is a little bit easier than addition here. So let's rearrange it first and foremost. So 8 is our A term, X is our B term, 5 is our C term. So we are going to want to rearrange it so B is on the outside, so B times A times C, okay? So what was our B term? Our B term was X, times our A term, which was 8, and our C term, which is 5, okay? So when we simplify that out, we are going to get X times, what's 8 times 5? 40. So another way of writing X times 5 is you can also write 40X. 40X. And that is our simplified version for letter B, okay? We're not going to do the standardized test example, number 4, so that is going to be all that we're going to do for notes for today. So go ahead and if you are wanting to look at what your homework is, I will show you on Google Classroom. I know you guys know how to do it, but I'm just going to show you again. So let's get out of here. There we go. Okay, so I'm in Google Classroom for pre-algebra. So here was week 1, so that was last week. And now we have this week, week number 2. So Monday, no school, so no schoolwork. This is essentially a snow day, so you don't have to do anything for Monday. But for Tuesday, here is the list of everything that we did today. So number 1, this is what we did in you just watching this video. So identify uses and properties of addition and multiplication, blah, blah, blah. And then right here, there will be, I'm going to be adding this video once I'm done talking to you guys. So your homework is page 21, numbers 1 through 63 odd. Okay, you guys got a head start on this on Friday. So hopefully you'll have a good chunk of this done already, and I'll try and get this other video for tomorrow going. So for Wednesday the 16th, I'll try and get this one going early. And your homework will be a worksheet again. So click on that worksheet and you will be doing just the odds for tomorrow. So tomorrow's lesson's a little shorter. If you'd like to, you can get started on this before I even put the video out. I'm fine with that. So yeah, all right guys, hopefully we'll be seeing you soon. Bye.